So for this part, just going to kind of finish up these connectors and our extra bits. So now that we have everything aligned along the symmetry, what I want to do is go back in through and just about delete every other edge loop. Really kind of reduce some of the stuff down, as we do not need this many edges kind of to define that curve. And then once we have the profile reduced, go back in with again the side view, the silhouette. And while I'm not deleting it quite every other, I'm just looking for areas where the curve is a little more mild, and thereby deleting. So there was an edge loop split with deleting the edge, or deleting the middle. Go ahead and along this cap here, really don't need that much geometry in the cap. So I'm going to delete kind of every other edge, and then with the target weld, go back in and connect these. Just kind of tie them off. Again, not going to be deforming this. Triangles, not horrible. Have this sort of extra face sitting there. Just kind of checking the look. So what I've done here is I've gone and assigned Lambert 1 to my reduced model, and then I'm going to set a little bit of transparency to my main material for my high poly. And what this is going to do is darken it, make it a little more see-through, and then I have my low poly, and I can kind of really tell at a glance where the object is outside, where the object's inside, how kind of close my silhouette and my volume is between the high poly and the low poly. So in some of these areas, I can really see that I can keep on reducing a little bit. In this case, because that's just a concave surface, what I'm going to do is just kind of tidy some of that up. Just pull that whole edge loop out, because you're not going to see that from the silhouette, and the sort of inside edge will be fine. Just kind of have that detailed bake from the normal map. So on to this next section. It's almost kind of the same process. Find that edge, or find the, in this case I just split it right down the middle. Find that loop of edges, or I'm sorry, loop of faces, and get rid of them. So this time I selected the entire edge loop, took my selection, 2 faces. Here it is again, 2 faces, and then that way it gave me the whole loop of faces, and then I just deleted it in half that way. Much faster way of doing it. Again, select an edge, tell it to go 2 faces, it'll select all the faces that are in that range, and then you can just delete them that way. So just checking the geometry, checking the edges. Go ahead and delete my profile, the ones I don't need. Make a again split, and because it wasn't turned on, I can turn it on manually in the channel box to stay with the edge flow, which will scoot it out a little bit, scoot it to make sure it continues that curve, and then I can delete the two border edges now. So now that I have it reduced in the profile, go ahead and look at the silhouette along this border here, and these are a lot closer together, these edges here. So I was able to delete just about every other one. May come back and delete a few more. So in some cases I'm deleting 2 in a row. It's just kind of watching the profile, and sometimes you make a mistake and you have to undo and then move an edge and just kind of play with it a little bit, just trying to make sure that you have that maintain the volume, but you eliminate as much extraneous polygons as possible. So I can clean this up. Now in this case where I have these two high poly objects, I did not merge them together. I just kind of let them be, just because merging them together would have been an interesting task, and I don't know if I would have gained anything on my normal map by having them merged together. However, when on the low poly, because we're reducing some things down, and because we need kind of a better cage, what I'm going to do is merge these together, weld them together, so it's just one object. So what I'm doing is basically deleting all the inside faces, the ones that have all been on the inside. In a couple of cases I have to kind of rebuild or redraw them back where I kind of delete a little too much. In this case, got to reappend to poly to create that shape back. The next thing I'm going to do is just go ahead and match vertex to vertex, and just using the V-snap, just snap them all together. So each one has a vertex buddy, and where there's more than one to one, it's going to create a triangle. Again, that's not going to be horrible in this case, and just again keep merging to the next. Get the inside faces, give them their buddies on the outside, and then go back in and kind of delete what's hidden. In this case, I'm now going to take the multi-cut tool where some of these faces are split, and using the multi-cut tool, what I'm going to do is basically just draw a line right down the side of the geometry. This will create a new vertices. This will also split our faces in half so that I can come back and just snap merge these together. So just cutting it right down, kind of making sure the geometry matches, delete all the extra junk that we've now created, getting rid of the garbage. Like that, and then go back in and start snapping some of this stuff together. Something that could also be helpful here is, to scale this object up, 10, 15 times, so my camera can kind of get in here a little bit better. So it's looking pretty good. A couple little problems, but what I'm going to do is just come back in, do a polygon, show border edges so I can see where my seams are, and come back in with the merge tool and just merge all these together, and then append to poly to create that polygon again. I think there's one last weird face in there or something. I'll address that later. But so the volume still really matches what we had going on. Yeah, there it was. Yeah, go ahead and just kind of merge some of this stuff together. Yeah, some of these you're just not going to be able to tell. Let's merge them back together. All right. So now I've got all these parts, all these pieces kind of floating around here. And when I have them all selected, okay, let's match them all up. Now I'm still sitting at 2400 and I don't even have all my faces built yet for the object. Delete the history. Let's make a duplicate of that and pull it off. Merge this guy back together again. Check it with the smooth key. make sure all this lines up. Select the edges, deselect the edges, do a scale, and then a snap move. There we go, mirror that, so that's complete. Duplicate the low poly. Kind of line it up. Mirror and weld, mirror and weld. It's got to be a little bit different. Move my pivot point. Wrong object. Here we go. Okay. Move the pivot point. Duplicate, rotate, duplicate, rotate. Merge. Check it. Move the pivot point. Duplicate, rotate, merge, merge. Check it with smooth. Looks good. All right. Set that back. So now here's the completed low poly that we've reduced. We've done a pretty good job, but we're still well over $3,000. So what I really want to do is I'm clicking on through the objects, because each one that's highlighted, you can tell and see where the triangle count is. So it's like searching your hard drive to find, what's eating up my hard drive space. Well, same thing with this is what's eating up all my polygon count. So I'm going to go back through, and for example, this little cone piece here, this little tab bit of detail is, what is that, 1600 polys. So delete every other edge, and we automatically have reduced it down to 560. Okay, so that was it's a big jump without losing a lot of detail for something that's going to be very, very small. So I'm going to come in here and clean up a few more edges. Just kind of remove some stuff, realign some things. Because with every loop, that's 50 polygons, it seems like, that go away. So just kind of tidying up a bit really can help reduce that polygon count down, especially in areas that you're probably not going to see or aren't really visible in the silhouette. So now reduce down a good number. See what we have on the center section here. So go ahead and delete a couple of these bevels. There's not a lot I can get rid of on that face. This one here, maybe some things that we can get rid of. I think I'll end up taking out that whole intersection. You just have to be very careful once you reduce that sweep down, because it is just a full curve. Some of these edges really don't like to be removed. They're going to start causing major shape problems. But there's more that we can kind of do from a profile standpoint that you're just never going to see. And by minimizing these, removing those edges, you really can drop your polygon count or triangle count. And I'm kind of wanting to leave it right there because that cylinder tucks in right under there. And I'd like for that little bit of detail to show. Delete those middle ones. Not going to need those with the way I'm going to do the UVs. Delete these middle ones. We've got our symmetry already for merging. So, all right, so that about does it here. Next up, UVs.